So I really wanted to make this video today. I don't have a lot of time because I've got a friend coming around, but it's about fear and fear of not doing what you want to do. You know, fear of it's stopping you from actually doing the stuff that you want to do. And I think, you know, as we get older, we build up walls, right? We build up walls around us. We put them up, and you know, you just can't break them down anymore. You know, that fear is all around us. And I think I remember when I was around 11 or 12, and I was at school, and I made a pact with myself at school. You know, I'm going to do what I want to do, and you know, I'm going to do what I love doing, right? So, and I still remember that to this day, thinking, I want to do what I want to do. And more or less, I have done what I want to do. This kind of does lead into simplicity and leading the life you want to lead, right? It does take some bravery and some creativity to get where you want to go in your life. Being at 58, I find it harder now to break down the walls of fear. And I was just sitting out on the balcony, and I just thought, how do I talk about this? You know, how am I going to explain taking away? How do we do that? How do we take those walls away? Right? Because we all have them. For me, I remember setting up a business. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and it was a business in furniture shop, interior design business, furniture interior design business in London. And it was importing furniture. It was selling furniture. It was selling myself as an interior designer. It was storing furniture. It was cash flow, profit and loss. You know, nothing I had done really. You know, I hadn't done any of those things. And I remember just going into it because I had such a big passion. I had a big passion for Bali and just living the life I wanted to lead. So I just went into it. I didn't really ask too many questions. And I think that this is where one of the answers lie, really, is in maybe being a bit ignorant, not questioning too much. How am I going to do this? And I think that's one of the biggest, can be the biggest failures, or I don't know if it's a failure, you know, biggest sort of mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes I think you can make is to ask how am I going to do this really early on in that process? Because once you start asking yourself, how's this going to work? How am I going to get the money to do this? How am I going to get the time to do this? You really are putting barriers in front of yourself. It's your mind saying to you, you can't do this. You know, this is beyond you. It's your mind maybe being lazy and trying to play tricks on you and putting obstacles in your way. So I went into that business not asking. I didn't have any money to set up that business. I didn't have any knowledge of importing furniture. I didn't even have suppliers over there in Bali or Indonesia. I didn't know anything about a business plan to get money. So yeah, went ahead and did all that, and it took a couple of years. And that's the thing. I think maybe nowadays it's an instant culture, right? We need things instantly. It needs to happen instantly. I was able to take my time. I got a part-time painting job, painting houses. I don't know if it was part-time, actually. I think it was more full-time, maybe not 5 days a week. And I was a qualified painter anyway. I did have a painting business actually when I was in my teenage years. And then I went to university. And I think that's another good example of, I was in something at that point as with a painting business, and it was going really well. It was making some money, and but I didn't really enjoy it. I preferred the creativity of the interior design, and I was then, at 24, I needed to do interior architecture. I needed to go and study. It was a 4-year degree. And to get onto that 4-year degree, I needed an art qualification. So I did a 2-year part-time art class. I think it was 1 to 2 evenings a week for a couple of years. So between the ages of 22 and 24, I did that, got my art portfolio together. And then at 24, I was able to apply for my degree course. And I got onto an interior architecture course in Middlesex University in London. So the steps there are needed, to pursue something, right? We need to be passionate about it. We need to be persistent. If I didn't do that art course, I wouldn't have got onto the degree. So then I did my degree and ended up working for Interior Architects. So it worked out in the end, but it did take quite 6 years in total. So I did something I wanted to do, and then the next thing that led on from there, was like I wanted to go and travel, right? So I saved some money and went on travelled and saw all these lovely places. I knew that Southeast Asia was pulling me for a number of years to go over there, and didn't know why. But there was something there that I needed to find, and I was sitting in a cafe in Bali, and saw this little postcard on the table while I was drinking my coffee, and I thought, that's what I want to do. That's exactly what I want to do. And it was a postcard of a shop front, and it had beautiful sort of products and it looked really sweet. And that was it. That was the start of that journey, setting that business up, that postcard. And I thought that is exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And, the connection with Bali, especially Bali, but Indonesia as well, drove me to learn all those things about writing a business plan and cash flow forecast, importing stuff and taxation and employing people and and then having to sell the product. I didn't know how to sell. So and I remember not asking too many questions along that road. I remember just taking one step after another. It's a staircase, right? You want to get to the top of that staircase. Another analogy, if you watch my other video, we talked about wardrobes. I'm going to talk about a staircase. So you just take each step right up to the top, and that's exactly what needs to be done to have a life that you feel happy in, free in, rich. Not rich in monetary terms, but rich in terms of health and happiness. And I think for where I am now at 58, I feel absolutely blessed to have the life I have. I live it in a very simple way, but it's not just a case of I'm living my life in a simple way, right? It's a philosophy. It's a way of being. It's a everyday day in, examining why I'm fearful of doing something. Starting this YouTube channel was something that was I was quite fearful of, because I don't do social media, right? So that's exactly why I should do it, probably. I do watch YouTube, but I don't really I don't really do any social media. So, and I just felt like I have a lot of experience in so many different areas that I wanted to share that. And I think the cornerstone of my life, my being is to help people. Interior design was one of them. Help them to live in a better way, help them to work in a better way, help people to work in a better way. And another business I set up was personal training. So that was a few years ago. I haven't done anything since for a while, but personal training was to help people live in a better way, right? So they slow down, so they see that, you know, it is it's a wheel, right? It's you know, it's sleep and it's eating and it's exercise. Those three things there, right there, will lower your cortisol levels and your hopefully enable endorphins and releases, coupled with endorphin releases, to live in a better way, right? To set the routines. But you know, it's all in my mind, it's all a process, right? And it does start with fear. It starts with like taking away the fear. Why are we fearful, right? I see so many people when in my age now, I could do this, I could do that, but it's always like, I don't think they're worthy. Like they think they're not worthy of doing those things, or they don't know where to start, and I find that quite frustrating that they put barriers in their way, right? Stop asking how you're going to do it. Just do it, right? Take that first step, whatever it is. You know, if it's yeah, I mean, if it was just a painting business, right? You learn how to paint, right? Paint a wall, do some research, buy some brushes, and start painting. It's not that difficult when you boil it down. I think it's, like I said earlier, it's just the mind. So my advice is, if you're thinking about starting something, is to what are the steps that are needed to start something, and write those steps down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and accomplish them every week. Do one step, or every day, whatever time it takes. But don't rush the process. You know, it needs time. You know, but you also need to be passionate about the thing that you're going to start. So I just wanted to touch on that fear subject. I think that stops us being creative, right? Doing the things that we want to do. I love when I take when I'm not fearful. Now I am fearful, of course. You know, I can't jump out of an aeroplane. I don't want to jump out of an aeroplane. I don't want a parachute. I'm fearful of those. I'm fearful of heights. I'm not. It's not that I'm not fearful. I am, absolutely. But when it comes to doing the things that I really want to do and that I'm passionate about, then I go for it. Anyway, thanks for joining me on today's video. I got a rush now. I'm going on a bike ride, and I'll see you on the next one. Like and subscribe. I don't have many views, none at all. New channel, so just like and subscribe, and I'm going to try and post once a week. A simple life as a 58-year-old living in Högnäs, Sweden. Okay, bye.